All right, guys, welcome to the final part on the SIG 4-star 4D build. Today, we are going to be putting on the covering. So, pretty exciting. We're getting done with this thing. So, yeah, let's get right into it. Before we get started covering, though, I do want to show a few things that I have done. A little off camera, but they're basic things. But I have joined the elevator halves together with the wire joiner that's included in the kit. You just line up the elevator halves, mark the holes, make marks where you need to drill the holes, and then groove it and sink this down in, and yeah, just make sure it dries straight and you'll be good. You got two nice elevator halves, so that's all good, fine and dandy. And then as you can see, I've beveled the elevator and pretty much the rest of the control surfaces. I got the rudder beveled here, and the ailerons are beveled too. I know I haven't covered much on the ailerons, but a few things on the ailerons. I was debating, as you can see, they're tapered. It's thinner on the tip than it is the root here. I was debating just going the same cord or same size on either end. Problem with that, though, is that because of my wingtip length, they weren't long enough, and that aileron would be really skinny, and I just wanted more control surface than that. So I decided to keep the tapered ailerons, just, for some more surface area. And I think it'll look okay. I mean, I don't think it'll look too bad. So as you see, I've sanded my wingtips pretty much flush with the ailerons and all that. So yeah, ailerons are ready to be covered and hinged. So wing, I mean, I've been sanding it a lot, but I still think it needs a little more. As you see, I've got a whole bunch of filler spots pretty much everywhere on this thing. But yeah, the wing needs, and I plan to cover this thing last just because I think it's going to be the most difficult, especially with these wingtips and the design, color design I'm trying to go with. So the wings, I think, will be the last thing to be covered. So I'll just put those over here for now. But I am going to start with the tail first, just because I am using a, well, I have very limited covering experience, but I've been an ultra coat guy for pretty much most of my covering jobs. However, for this build, I really want to try this stuff. This is the Value Hobby new cover. I have been hearing some good stuff about it, so I thought I'd give it a shot. So pretty much the coolest thing about this stuff is for about the same price as two 3-meter rolls of ultra coat like this here, I was able to get 3 5-meter rolls. So you get more covering in a single roll than you do ultra coat, and I was able to get 3 rolls in about the same prices too. So as far as value goes, yeah, or for how much covering you get for your money, you get a whole heck of a lot more. Now, whether it's going to be as easy to work with, I don't know. We're going to see. So that's why I'm planning on doing the tail here. As you'll see, I've gotten these 3 colors here. I'll let you guys have a guess on how these covering colors will be placed, but I'll just leave that for a guessing game for now. I mean, I'm sure you'll eventually get it, but yeah, that is the covering I am going to go with. So, with that being said, I do have my iron heated up. I did want to show the fuselage, though, and show that I've got this thing all nice and sanded. You see, it's got nice round edges there, and it's ready to be covered. It's all nice and smooth, and I think it's going to look pretty good when we get some covering on her. So anyway, yes, let's go ahead and start with these 2 tail pieces and see what the end result looks like. So here we go. so we got the tail all covered up, and I think it came out pretty good. I'm not the best cover on planet Earth. As you can see, I still got a few wrinkles I got to iron out, but all in all, I think this came out pretty good. So, as you see, I'm going with a bottom white and black checker scheme, and I was able to match up the squares or rectangles, I guess, and make it look really good. So I think this will look really cool. And yes, before you say it, I know I chose the same dadgum color as the dadgum sky. So we'll be able to see. We'll see if we'll be able to see this thing in the air, but time will tell, I guess. But once again, this is being covered with the Value Hobby New cover, and as far as, you know, workability, I guess, it actually did really well. It went around curves really nicely. It shrunk down really well with this trim seal tool, and I think it actually looks pretty good. I think it actually has a little bit more of a sheen or glossy shine than Ultra Coat does, but that's just my opinion, and I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, now that we have the tail covered, we're going to go ahead and start with the fuselage and getting some covering on it. So back to time lapse. I got the main covering on the fuselage, and I think it looks pretty good. Of course, I had to stick the engine and the canopy on to see how it looked, right? And yeah, I think it's gonna look really snazzy. So yeah, that's the fuselage done. Once again, this with the cowl on, I've got this nice silver stripe going on. Now, if you look close, you can see it's pretty. It's not definitely by any means professional, but for our first covering job, I guess it's not too bad. But anyway, now we got the fuselage done, we are going to cover that guy. So let's get to it. Alright, so as you can see, I have got the wing pretty much done. There's a few things I may do to it, but I think I can pretty much stick a fork in them. And you see we got the main color blue up top here, and then we got the checker bottom. And I think it came out okay for, I guess, the first time. There's a few things here that you can definitely see are not very well done. You see these squares don't particularly go evenly down the trailing edge, but they do. Another ruler fault, but they do line up with the covering, so I think it looks good enough for me. So as you saw in the time lapse, there's two ways I did my servo covers. I left one in and then covered over it and then cut it out. The problem with that method is, though, that there's going to be no overhang, and when you tighten it down, there's going to be some slight wood exposed. I don't know if you can see that there. So for me, it's all right, not a big deal, but for others that may be. So I do recommend that you leave the servo cover out, cover over it, and then cut out the recess where the servo cover sits in and just have overhang for it. And then, as you see, it is a little tougher to line it up, but it came out pretty close, so good enough for me. So, yeah, just wanted to mention that. And then also, the proper technique for doing open, I can tell you right now, I was doing it the wrong way on this bottom here, and I had a lot of wrinkles to iron out, and it just took forever and took more time. I would say the proper way is, and you know, this is my advice, and I don't know if it's good, but go ahead and say it. Start on the main spar right here, iron it down, and then on either your leading edge or trailing edge, pull it back, and then just go every wing bay. I did 2 of them just to make it go faster, but that's a much better method to do it. Basically, do what I did with the blue here, but not what I did with the checker. So, yeah. That's what I recommend. But I did test my servos, and they're in there, and they're all working good. So, yeah, we are done with the wings. So now we are going to do the ailerons, and that's just going to be pretty simple. You know, you just top and bottom blue, and then checkerboard as well, and then the ailerons are done. But before we get to that, I do want to mention this here. I am on Real Flight, and this is my username, Maxim Overfly, right here. And if you're ever on multiplayer and you happen to see this name, make sure you say hello, and then we can maybe talk some 3D or shoot builds about this. But anyway, did want to mention I am on Real Flight. But anyway, let's go ahead and start with the ailerons. All right, so as you see here, I've got the ailerons all covered up, blue on top and checker on the bottom. Of course, the checker lines up with the wing on the bottom, so that's all good. And this is just, you know, if you've covered everything else, this is just simple doing so. But anyway, got the ailerons covered, so they came out great. So the next and final step is, at least for this video, is going to be applying these trim pieces here. And I'm going to, well, I do like the style of the stock decals. These are the decals that come in the kit. There's a sheet here and a sheet here. And I do actually like these Starbursts, I guess, or whatever the heck they're called. But as you can see, I cut both of them out, but I did them in different ways. I cut one out, leaving this black trim right here, and then I cut one with. And I experimented first with the one without the black trim. And, you know, it would work, but to me, when it's on the wing, it just looks a little too small to me. Especially with the aileron on there, it just doesn't seem like there's enough gray to, you know, feels like there's too much blue on the wing, I guess. But with this, or with the stripe here, as you can see, I think this looks really snazzy, and I think that makes it look quite a bit better. So what we're going to do is lay this on here, cut it out in gray, because that's what I want. I don't want this white, although I'll be honest, white and black doesn't look too bad, but I do think gray would look just slightly better. So yeah, we were going to lay this down on our covering, or silver covering, cut it out, and we'll see about ironing it on. It's the first time ever doing iron-on trim, so we'll see what kind of temperature setting we're going to need, but I think it'll turn out pretty good. So yeah, let's go ahead and start tracing that out and see how the pinstripes turn out. Okay, so as you can see, I've been pretty busy. This did take a while, but I finally got through it. These are all my gray stencils, I guess, or whatever, or pinstripes, whatever you want to call it, for the rudder, elevator, and wing here. See, they're all in silver. I think they look really nice. Same with the fuse here. This one was by far the toughest, just because you got to make a long line, you know how floppy covering is or whatever. And I got another one right here, so... But yes, now that we have that, also this silver piece is going to go on the rudder, kind of like this. I don't know, there's a certain name for this, but it's going to have a nice curve to it, and I think that'll look pretty good. You know, help set the rudder off just a little bit. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and just start with the tail, because there's a few things I've heard of before that you want to do if you're doing covering over covering like this, and that is you want to take... Now, I have this tool in my covering box. Now, not everyone does, obviously, but I'm fortunate enough to have it. Take this woodpecker and you poke holes along the blue covering, you know, where you're going to set this down in here. And just so, because a lot of air tends to get trapped in there and it looks really bad. So that's why you poke holes in the blue. At least I'm going to try that, and then we'll see if we have to go to the gray. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and heat up the irons, and we're going to try, I'm going to try doing the rudder first, you know, putting on this piece and this part, and then, yeah, we will get through the rest of it, and, yeah, we'll see how it looks after we're done. right, well, got the pinstripes or secondary color, whatever you want to call it on, and I think it looks really nice. Got the horizontal stabilizer here. This right here looks really good. I'm thinking about putting this on this right here. We'll see what happens though. And of course we got the wings and the fuse looking all fine and dandy. How about it? I like this gray against the blue. I think it'll look really nice. But anyway, one thing I want to mention is I did use a little pin on these longer strips right here because, you know, this woodpecker is too wide, and that seemed to work okay, although I did miss that area by a lot. I don't know why that was so far off, but we won't talk about that. But anyway, just don't look too close. Other than that, I just used that little pin and it worked pretty good. You see, the tail came out bubble free. I didn't use enough holes in these though, so you can see there's, when I hold it just right, you can see the air bubbles right there, but that's, you only see those if the sun or the light hits it right. And I don't know, I think it's looking really nice right now. So anyway, yes, that is the SIG 4-star fully covered. So I think we're going to go ahead and end part 5 here. Part 6 is going to be probably the maiden flight, because, I mean, all that is just final assembly, which just like any other ARF, you know, all we got to do is epoxy the tail on, make our linkages, install our radio gear, and we're good to go. So, yep, that is part 5 of the SIG 4-star 40. The covering complete. There are a few little things I got to do, but basically, yeah, the covering is complete. So anyway, you guys like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, notification bell. It notifies you every time I come out with a new video. I should have mentioned that in earlier videos, but I didn't, so that's my bad. But anyway, if you like this, make sure you hit subscribe, like, and if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for part 6 on the SIG 4-star 40 build.